Something really significant and, to be honest, pretty surprising is happening right on the US-Canada border. It's this fundamental shift in the relationship between the two countries, and it's unfolding in ways I don't think anyone really saw coming. Okay, let's get into it.
So what do these two things have in common? On the surface, absolutely nothing. You've got a shuttered factory, and then you have this influx of American doctors heading north. But believe it or not, they are two sides of the very same coin. And together, they tell us a story about a new dynamic that's reshaping the entire continent.
And our first big clue, it's right in the middle of a massive conflict that's blowing up in the North American auto industry. This is where the first real shots in a new kind of economic fight were fired.
Okay, so this timeline really lays out the chain reaction. It all kicks off in early 2025 when the US slaps these steep tariffs on auto imports. A few months go by, and bam, GM halts production at its huge plant in Ontario, blaming weak EV demand. But here's the twist. This time, Canada didn't just take it. It hit back hard.
And you can't forget the human cost here, which was immediate and just huge. We're talking about 1,400 skilled workers, just like that, out of a job. $1 billion project for clean transportation, shelved. This wasn't just some line on a balance sheet. It was a massive blow to an entire community and a key Canadian industry.
In that moment, well, it was a trigger. It completely changed Canada's tone. The days of quiet backroom diplomacy were suddenly over. This quote from their Industry Minister Mélanie Joly just says it all. It's a direct challenge, basically saying to Detroit, your easy access to our market, that's not a guarantee anymore.
So, were those just tough words? No way. They backed it up with real action. They went and cut the number of cars GM and Stellantis could bring into the country without tariffs. They launched their own Buy Canadian program for government spending, and they put money aside to protect their most important industries. The bottom line is, they started using some serious economic muscle.
Now, while all this drama in the auto sector was playing out in the headlines, something else, something much quieter, was starting to take shape. This story isn't about assembly lines. It's about hospital corridors. It's about Canada starting to see this unexpected brain gain.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because this slide puts the two countries right next to each other. In the US, you had healthcare workers dealing with budget cuts, hiring freezes, and all this political turmoil. Canada saw a huge opportunity and started pitching the exact opposite, a place that's stable, respectful, and where you can just, practice medicine without all the politics. And get this, their recruitment strategy was genius. We're not talking about boring job fairs here. They had food trucks parked outside American hospitals, handing out coffee and job applications. They ran ad campaigns all about work-life balance, and they actually invested millions to make it way easier for doctors and nurses trained elsewhere to get their credentials and get to work fast.
And this whole campaign, it was tapping into a major vulnerability in the US system. I mean, look at this number. Between 2024 and 2025, the U.S. saw a drop of over 300,000 foreign-born healthcare workers. That is a massive brain drain that leaves hospitals seriously stretched thin.
But, this isn't just a story about policies and big numbers. At the end of the day, it's about people who just want to feel valued. This quote from a nurse who moved from the U.S. to Canada, it just says everything. For her, it wasn't just about a paycheck. It was about finding a place that actually respected what she does for a living.
So let's connect the dots. You've got this standoff in the auto industry and this migration in healthcare. They seem like two totally different stories, right? Wrong. They are absolutely connected. They're two chapters in Canada's new national playbook.
And the big idea driving this whole thing has a name: economic sovereignty. It's basically the idea that a country should use the tools it has, like access to its own market and how it spends public money, to protect its workers and build up its own essential industries.
And this is a really important point that officials in Ottawa are making super clear. This whole shift, they say, isn't about being anti-American. Not at all. It's about being pro-Canadian and looking out for their own national interests in a world that's changing really fast.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, the auto dispute, the brain gain, it's way more than just a couple of isolated incidents. We are literally witnessing a massive realignment, a true North American shift with huge consequences for both countries.
And what about the fallout back in the US? Well, just look at this. The very tariffs that were supposed to help the American auto industry, they seem to have backfired, big time. Projections are showing vehicle sales dropping by almost $2 million, while the prices for the trucks and SUVs people actually buy are jumping up by 25%. It's American consumers who are paying that price. So here's the great irony in all of this. The policies that were designed to protect and bring back American jobs have, in a strange twist, ended up pushing away not just key manufacturing, but also some of our most highly skilled professionals. They're finding a warmer welcome just across the border.
Which really leaves us with one final critical question. Is what we're seeing just a temporary spat, a reaction to the politics of the moment? Or are we actually witnessing the permanent redrawing of the economic map of North America? The answer to that is going to define the future for everyone on this continent.